Do do do, theme song. Do do do, I'm broke so this is my theme song. Do do do, just imagine this is an awesome theme song. Do do, theme song. Hello, welcome to Left of the Box Let's Talk. Bonjour, bienvenue. I'm Sandy. While exploring the Twitterverse, I came across this intriguing tweet. This is, without a doubt, the best articulation as to the ethical problem posed by mandatory vaccines or vaccines passports. Dr. Julie Ponesi explains the dilemma in a persuasive manner. Watch the whole 4-minute video split across 3 segments in this thread. Now, I say this is intriguing because I want to understand the other side and why so many people are anti-vaxxers, despite the abundance of evidence proving it is safe and effective. So, to see this guy's praise for this video, I thought there must be compelling arguments against the vaccine mandate, and I wanted to see for myself. Maybe my mind could be changed, which is something I'm open to on any subject should I be presented with new, verifiable information. I also thought this might be a good video for me to try my hand at debunking. I was worried I wouldn't have what it takes, especially going up against a university professor. So I looked up the full video, linked below, and watched it, ready to have my mind blown. And yeah, let's just say this wasn't as challenging as I thought it would be. Do you know what would blow my mind? You hitting the like button and subscribing to my channel. Debunk Twitter by following me there. Yeah, sure, that makes sense. I don't get paid the same as a university professor, so if you can, please help me out by becoming a patron. Link in the description box below. Okay, on to the video. I don't have this part fully scripted, just notes on what I want to say because I'm working towards the whole ad-libbing thing, which I'm going to need when I start my live streaming. I'm going to try my best not to pause it every 5 words to comment, which will probably be the most challenging thing of this video.
My name is Julie Ponesi, and this message is about mandatory vaccinations. I am a professor of ethics at Huron College at the
I took a high school level philosophy course, so let's see how our two expertise match up.
My name is Julie Ponesi, and this message is about mandatory vaccinations. I am a professor of ethics at Huron College at the University of Western Ontario. It's one of the largest universities in Canada.
When I hear one of the largest universities in Canada, personally, I'm thinking top 3, maybe top 5. Yeah. They're number 7 out of 97 from the top, which I guess still puts it in that category. I just, wanted to be clear on that.
Today I'm going to teach you a short lesson on the universally accepted ethics of coercing people into medical procedures. I'll be the example.
I am putting a pin right here. There's a pin in this spot right here. We are going to get back to what she just said. It's a pin.
My employer has just mandated that I must get a vaccine for COVID-19. If I want to keep working at my job as a professor, I have to take this vaccine. Here's my conundrum. My school employs me to be an authority on the subject of ethics. I hold a PhD in ethics and ancient philosophy. And I'm here to tell you
A PhD in ethics and ancient philosophy. Wow. You would have had to live a fairly privileged life in order to go to university and get a PhD in those subjects. Just saying, that's not most people who go to university, they need a job at the end. And really, other than being a professor teaching this, there's not that many other applications for this profession. So, just the cost and the time involved in it. It's a fascinating subject, ancient philosophy, yeah.
it's ethically wrong to coerce someone to take a
Just
vaccine. I
back
hold
this
a
up a minute.
PhD in ethics and ancient philosophy. And I'm here to tell you it's ethically wrong to coerce someone to take a vaccine. If it happens to you, you don't have to do it. If you
This type of coercion has been happening forever. Well, for as long as we've had vaccines. Schools, you need to be vaccinated. If you want to go to certain countries around the world, you need to be vaccinated. This is not new.
you don't want a COVID vaccine, don't take one. End of discussion. It's your own business. But that is not the approach of the University of Western Ontario, which has suddenly required that I be vaccinated immediately or not report for work.
This pandemic has been going on for a while. This isn't sudden. It's not sudden at all because it's been going on for quite some time. And, we knew when the school year was about to start. So you could anticipate that this might be what's happening.
So with the school year beginning in a few days, I am facing imminent dismissal after 20 years on the job because I will not submit to having an experimental vaccine injected into my body.
It's not experimental. It's really not experimental. It has been approved. It has been through tests. It is FDA approved. Let's see, where are we at right now? According to this Google, if we go over to today, or around today, let's see, this is very sensitive to touch, which is great for live streaming. So as of the 17th, almost 3,750,000,000 people have received one dose, and getting close to 3 billion are fully vaccinated. So total doses given over here is 6.67 billion doses of this vaccine have been given. Not experimental. If there were going to be major side effects, that's a large test pool right there. We would know. We would know. It's not a problem. It's a safe vaccine.
I've had plenty of vaccines in my life, but I've never been forced to take one. It's always been my choice.
Like I said before, yeah, school, there were vaccines that you had to take, and, your parents would have probably had you have vaccines. Well, some parents, not all parents. So as a child, you didn't necessarily have a choice. And again, if you want to go to certain countries, you have to have vaccines. Not your choice. But if you want to go, that's what you need to do. And if you want to teach at this university, that's what you need to do. Or is it?
I don't work in a high-risk environment. I'm not a doctor in an emergency room. I'm a teacher.
Thank you for acknowledging you're not a doctor. That's good to know that your expertise is not in the medical field. And as for high-risk environments, a university around students from all over the place, yeah, that's high risk. It is. Sure, a lot of the students, if they catch it, they won't necessarily become really sick or die, but they come into contact with people who will. So anywhere where there's large groups of people mingling, it's a high-risk environment.
I'm a university professor. My job is to teach students how to think critically, to ask questions that might expose a false argument. Questions like,
Yeah, a false argument. Huh. Yeah, we'll get to that.
says who? Who is the how to think critically? To ask questions that might expose a false argument. Questions like, says who? Who is the authority giving this order? Should I?
Okay, so false argument. Who's giving the authority on this? Well, according to the website of Western University, your employer is the one who has the authority. Western University and affiliate colleges, Briska, Huron, and King's are requiring proof of COVID-19 vaccination for all students, staff, and faculty as part of a new policy to further protect the campus and community. The university made the move after careful consultation with public health partners and faculty experts in medicine, law, and ethics. Huh. I'm sorry, there's just a certain level of irony that if they were consulting experts in ethics and they apparently didn't talk to her, that might be an indication of something. Those without proof of vaccination must be tested twice a week in order to be on campus. What's this? You don't need to take the vaccine in order to teach there. You don't have to take it. You're not being forced to take it. If you don't take it, you have to be tested twice a week. Yeah, so what you have been saying, that you are being forced to take this vaccine, that's a false argument. The health and safety of our community is our top priority, and it's our shared effort. The university is taking further steps of higher risk activities by requiring vaccination for students and work and clinical parents. And exemptions will be provided on grounds protected by the Ontario Human Rights Code. So, again, if there's a human right being violated, you're not being forced to take it. To support a safe return to campus this fall, the health unit strongly supports all efforts to increase uptake of COVID-19 vaccination, says Christopher Mackey, medical officer of health at MLHU. So medical, that's their field. This includes policies that require all members of post-secondary community who present to campus to be either fully vaccinated for COVID-19 or participate in a serial and frequent rapid COVID-19 testing program, with exceptions pertaining to human rights. It's also strongly supportive of the men, blah, blah, blah. The university conducted a survey of all students, faculty, and staff in early August to gauge vaccination rates in the community. The survey found nearly 90% of respondents are fully vaccinated, and more than half of those remaining plan to get their COVID-19 vaccines by September. This rate of vaccination is consistent among undergraduate students respondents. The survey was sent to 62,000 members of the Western community with response rate of nearly 50%. So I think the university here was pretty thorough, but just in case, because maybe this university is being super strict. So there's a couple other universities in Canada that actually are known for their medical training, their medical courses. Let's see. So if we go over here to the University of Toronto website, let's see what they say. They say vaccination is the most important way that individuals can protect themselves against COVID-19, and it is a critical component of the University of Toronto strategy to support a safe return to campus. The University of Toronto requires all those intending to be present on our campus or on our premises. Speed reading, that's not my strong point. Owned or operated by the university to be fully vaccinated against COVID-19 and provide proof of vaccination in full accordance with all applicable laws and regulation. So they're also, saying that you have to be fully vaccinated. And what about McMaster? McMaster, I know, is known for their medical center, and let's see what they say. Requiring vaccinations, the scientific evidence in support of vaccination as best defense against the new COVID-19. Yep, we know that. If you are not fully vaccinated, you must be tested to come to McMaster location twice a week. So it's all the same. They have the same requirements. So it's not just Western University that's imposing this harsh sentence. It's the other universities, and they consult the experts at the universities. And those two other universities are known for their medical courses. So they're the experts in this field. So when it comes to who is requiring this, it is experts in the field, her employer, who consulted other people at the university, and they're not forcing her to take the vaccine because she can get tested twice a week.
To ask questions that might expose a false argument. Questions like, says who? Who is the authority giving this order? Should I trust them with control over my body?
We regularly trust doctors with control over our body. Have you ever had surgery? That you're trusting doctors over control of your body when it comes to medical issues. You're trusting their advice. You're trusting what they say to you.
As a professor, I don't have to watch the news to find out if the COVID vaccines are safe. I read medical journals, and I consult my colleagues who are professors of science and medicine.
The thing is when you read a medical journal, unless you know all the medical lingo, it's really hard to decipher. If you're not in the proper fields, trying to read a journal of anything is extremely difficult. Not to mention which journals. Cite your sources. As my regular viewers know, my sources are linked below. You can see them. So which journals? Can you point them out? Not to mention a lot of journals, are they peer reviewed? Do they have studies in them? Do they have tests that can be duplicated and get the similar results? Just a minute. This is not COVID related. But I do have a bit of a runny nose. It happens. It's dusty in here. Here's one of the things. If there was a medical journal out there that definitively proved without a doubt that there are issues around this vaccine, we'd know about it. We would know about it. It would spread like wildfire because there are people desperate for proof that there is something wrong with this vaccine. And if there was something verifiable, we would know. And as for her colleagues, are they the same colleagues that the university also consulted? Or are they different colleagues?
I've learned from doctors that there are serious questions about how safe these vaccines really are. There are questions about how well they work. Nobody's promising that I won't get COVID.
Nobody is questioning the safety of these vaccines. As we've seen, 6.6 billion doses have been given. We're not questioning the safety. As with all vaccines, there are going to be a small group of people that will have side effects, some of them pretty devastating side effects. That's every vaccine. And no doctor No one, no expert has told anyone that they are 100% effective, because they're not. We know this. This is not new news. Getting the vaccine, though, will help, should you then catch it, to lessen the effects of COVID. It makes you less likely to catch it. It makes you less likely to end up in the hospital if you have it. But there are breakthrough cases all the time, and sometimes those people who get the breakthrough cases do end up in the hospital, and some of them do pass away, because it is a form of protection. It's not bulletproof against the vaccine. We know this. But the other thing, it's not just about the people who are dying from COVID. There are people who catch COVID and will have lifelong consequences of it. Things like loss of taste and smell, issues with your respiratory system. Some people are linking some mental health issues with it. People who are living normal lives before will have it taken away. The only risk with COVID isn't just dying. You don't just catch it and get better. For a lot of people, there's long-lasting consequences.
Or transmit COVID if I get the vaccine. But ultimately, none of that matters to me, because I'm a professor of ethics and I'm a Canadian.
So she just dismissed everything that she just said because she's a professor of ethics, and ultimately none of that, what she just said, means anything. Okay.
Entitled to make choices about what does and does not enter my body, because I'm a professor of ethics and I'm a Canadian. I'm entitled to make choices about what does and does not enter my body, regardless of my reasons.
I would like to choose to not have COVID enter my body. That's my choice. I'm fully vaccinated. I wear masks in public still. I'm careful. If I get it, it's not my choice. And it's people like her who are taking away that choice from me. And also, the other thing that I keep on wondering is, why this vaccine? Why are you so worried about what's going into your body with this vaccine? Have you ever eaten fast food? Processed food? The chemicals in the air that we breathe and the water we drink? If you were to take apart some of the ingredients in some of these things, or some of the pollutants out there, and said, this is entering your body, would you actually agree to have it enter your body? No. In order to participate in this world, there's going to be a certain level of things we have to tolerate. We might not like it. I don't like it. But if I want to participate in this world, I can do everything I can to protect myself against the things I don't want in my body. And there's still a risk that it might happen. People not getting the vaccine increases my risk that I might get COVID. So it's not just affecting her, it's affecting everyone else around her.
If I'm allowed back into my university, it's my job to teach my students that this is wrong. I'm hired to teach them that it is ethically wrong to impose an experimental medical procedure as a condition of employment.
Not experimental.
This is my first and potentially my last lesson of the year.
Okay. I know what's in this video. I know what's about to happen. She's going to pose a question, and I'm going to let it play out because it's good to get the full feeling of it. And then I'm just going to backtrack and break it apart a bit.
Ethics 101. In the spirit of Socrates, who was executed for asking questions, this lesson will consist of only one question. The answer is multiple choice. Please listen carefully. When a person has done the same job to the satisfaction of her employer for 20 years, Is it right or is it wrong to suddenly demand that they submit to an unnecessary medical procedure in order to keep their job? In this case, the procedure is an injection of a substance that has not been fully tested for safety. It has not yet been shown to be effective. It is designed to prevent an illness that poses little threat to the employee. The employee is not allowed to ask questions. She may only submit to the procedure or be fired. To my first-year students, is this right or is this wrong? I already know the answer.
Okay, let's backtrack that just a bit there, huh? Let's go back. Where is it? Here?
This is my first and potentially my last
Okay.
lesson of the year. Ethics 101. In the spirit of Socrates, who was executed for asking questions.
No, he wasn't. That's not why he was executed. He was executed because he was exposing people in power, people with privilege, as frauds. And he was encouraging the youth to challenge the status quo and question authority. That's why he was executed, not just for simply asking questions.
This lesson will consist of only one question. The answer is multiple choice. Please listen carefully. When a person has done
Sorry, multiple choice for an ethics question?
the same job to the satisfaction of her employer for 20 years, is it right or is it wrong to suddenly demand that they submit to an unnecessary medical procedure?
It wasn't sudden. We knew this was going to happen. It's not experimental. This is not experimental. This is not an experimental vaccine.
In order to keep their job.
Yes, I would hope that anyone that is exposed to people all the time, people that we love and care for, or even people I don't care for, I don't want anyone exposed to this virus unnecessarily.
In this case, the procedure is an injection of a substance that has not been fully tested.
It has been fully tested. It has been. It's been approved. It has been fully tested. 6.67 billion doses administered worldwide. It has been tested.
For safety. It has not yet been shown to be effective.
Yes, it has. Yes, it has. If you look at who's ending up into the hospital, and if you look at who is still dying from COVID, it is overwhelmingly people who have not been vaccinated. People on their deathbed in the hospitals who were not vaccinated are begging doctors to then get the vaccine, but it's too late. It has been proven without a doubt.
It is designed to prevent an illness that poses little threat to the employee.
You don't know that. You don't know that. You don't know how COVID will interact with you. That's part of my worry is, yes, I'm healthy. I'm not in the age group of risk, but I don't know how my body will react to it. There are people who have comorbidities, who are older, who survive COVID. And then there are young, healthy people with no comorbidities who have died from it. You don't know how you will react to it. You don't know if you will get very sick and die from it.
The employee is not allowed to ask questions.
Yes, you can. You can ask so many questions. Oh my God. If there's one thing this government has done, it has made access to information about this vaccine available. There are websites you can go to that will give you all the answers to all the questions you have. You just need to ask them. And I'm pretty sure if you sat down with your employer and asked them questions, they would try to work with you, because if you are an invaluable employee to them, they would want to keep you on, and they would want to assure you that this is the right thing to do. So To say you're not allowed to ask questions, I'm a little suspicious of that statement.
She may only submit to the procedure or be fired.
Again, no, that is not correct. As stated on her own website, well, on the university's own website, she does not have to get it. She can be tested twice a week and not have to get the vaccine to go to work.
To my first year students, is this right or is this wrong? I already know the answer.
This is an ethics question. There is no right and there is no wrong in ethics. It's not an either or. The whole thing about ethics is the situation, the things influencing it, the time, the society. There is no clean cut yes, no answer to any ethical question. That, again, this is just whole. She was saying false questionings before. Well, it's so ridiculously a false premise. Ugh.
That was amazing, Julie.
Sorry. Sorry.
Are you done? You good? You got that out? You feel a little bit better? Huh? Okay, now allow me to pose a question using my high school course level of philosophy. Please listen carefully. When a person frames a question in such a manner and excludes important details so that the premise presumes the conclusion the questioner favors, is it right or is it wrong to assume the role of victim in order to disingenuously support a narrative? In this case, the narrative is that of a privileged, middle-aged white woman who does not fully understand the subject. She has not yet presented a convincing argument. The way she frames the question is designed for people to take her side without asking further questions. You may only agree with her or be wrong. To the people watching this, is this right or is this wrong? By claiming to already know the answer, she is preemptively invalidating your answer and has closed herself off to good faith counter-arguments because the only conclusion she can accept is the one in which she is the victim. She wants to be the victim in this story for reasons only she can answer. Let's go back to that part that I had put that pin in. Let's revisit that. Remember when she said this?
Today I'm going to teach you a short lesson on the universally accepted ethics of coercing people into medical procedures. I'll be the example.
Again, as I've gone over, she was not coerced into a medical procedure, and to use herself as an example of it in this country demonstrates how little the privileged sees and how much the government has successfully maple-washed our history. And by history, I mean as recently as 2018. From CBC News, Black Indigenous mothers say they were sterilized without full consent at Quebec hospitals. Women say they felt pressure to get tubes tied during labor, did not understand the procedure. On a cold autumn morning in 2018, a 44-year-old Haitian woman was in labor at a Montreal hospital hours away from welcoming her 7th child into the world. After learning that she would have to undergo an emergency C-section, the woman was asked whether she'd like to have her tubes tied at the time. She recalls telling the obstetrician on duty that she didn't know what the procedure called tubal ligation was or what it entailed. In an interview with Radio Canada's French Word, the woman said that she refused the sterilization procedure. Indeed, no consent forms appear on her medical file. However, 2 months after she gave birth, during a follow-up with her family doctor, she learned that she had been permanently sterilized. This is going on in Canada still. And she's not the only case. As we continue on in the article, this is a longer article. I have it linked below. Please go read it. I suspect that these things are still going on. We're just not hearing about it. Please make yourself aware of this. So continuing on in the article, this isn't the only such case reported by Radio Canada in recent years, with about 10 Indigenous women in the province sharing stories of undergoing a sterilization procedure without their free and clear consent. This is worse than even being coerced into it. They are being violated too. They are being assaulted. Another Indigenous woman told the French Word News Report that she had been sterilized against her will in Val d'Or, Quebec in the mid-2000s. Cases going back 40 years. Radio Canada spoke with women who reported undergoing sterilization procedures that they didn't fully consent to or understand. The cases span a period of almost 40 years from the 1980s until recently. Class action attempts underway in Saskatchewan and Manitoba because it wasn't just happening in Quebec. This wasn't just a Quebec issue. This was going on across the country. Yeah, the researchers collecting testimonies because there's a lot of them. Please go read this article. If Julie's concern really was around forced medical procedures, why not use this as the example? These stories have been coming out for years. Where was the outrage then? Where is it now? The lives of these people have been forever changed, and the most sacred right to choose whether or not to bring a life into this world has been taken away from them. But Julie was asked to take a provenly safe vaccine to protect her life and the lives of those around her, so she's the real victim. As Socrates puts it, the unexamined life is not worth living. This isn't about the vaccine, and as long as our attention and anger are focused on it, we'll never examine the issues in society that led us to where we are now. In a previous video, I used my spilt milk analogy to explain disproportional reactions. For those of you who missed it, it goes, you are out with someone and you spill a glass of milk. The other person freaks out, starts yelling at you and blowing it way out of proportion. You then focus on their reaction and tell them they're acting crazy, that it's no big deal, and you're confused because this came out of nowhere. It had nothing to do with the spilt milk. There were other things happening in that person's life that had been building up. Maybe they had been dismissing it, or they weren't understanding that the pain they were feeling inside was near a breaking point. Then the milk spills, and that's the last straw. It somehow validated what was happening to them, and it was further proof of the pattern of negativity that has been in their lives. So at that moment, out of nowhere, they explode. And if we only focus on the outburst, the core issues that led to it will never be resolved. Julie isn't reacting to the mandate. Other underlying issues were at play because to leave your job of over 20 years isn't a proportional response to what was asked of her. And of course, a disclaimer, I'm no expert on anything. I don't know Julie. I could be very off base. This is just how I read it, and it's my reaction to her reaction. Often people are unaware of how close they are to exploding until it's already happening. If you're an anti-masker watching this, unexpected but appreciated, allow me to help you understand what I'm saying. I want you to close your eyes and clear your mind. Remove all the noise, all the thoughts you have about this subject, and try to hear this like it has never been said to you before. There is a pandemic. You have been asked to put a piece of cloth over your nose and mouth. This has been proven to help protect you and the people around you. Mask wearing is common practice in many professions, and in some countries like Japan, it was common to wear one in public. And the people who did this are fine. No one suffered any ill effects from having to wear these masks. For almost everyone, there has been a time in your life when wearing a mask was required for an activity and it made sense and you did it and you're fine. Nothing bad happened to you because you wore that mask. But now the response is to go and protest, many people for the first time. People who are usually mild-mannered are yelling at strangers. There have been threats of violence, and some people have acted out on it. The mere sight of a person wearing a mask can cause you to go into a fit of rage. Does this honestly seem like a proportional reaction to being asked to wear a mask? Be honest. It is fine to say the masks are uncomfortable and can hurt behind your ears if you wear them for long periods of time. It makes talking to each other a little more difficult. It's harder to communicate emotion because a lot of what we communicate are expressions from around the mouth. Yes, it's annoying to wear a mask. No, it's not to the level of needing to burn the house down. So if the reaction of the anti-vaxxers, sure, that's a word. If the reaction they are having doesn't seem to make sense, it's because they're not reacting to the mandates. And if we don't examine where this anger is coming from, our lives will continue to be in turmoil. For many folks, we were told when we were younger, we could be anything we want. We were going to grow up and get a job, a house, a family, and that nothing was out of reach if you tried hard enough. But over the past 40 years, neoliberal policies have stripped away many of our supports, and capitalism has gone unchecked, readily putting profits over the lives of people and even putting the future of the planet in peril. The government stopped working for people and began working for the corporations and the wealthy few. Well, more so than they had been before. We can't work enough hours to make ends meet. Our social structures are being erased. Spending time with loved ones is a luxury. Every day, there is another expense, another worry. More of our rights and what we take for granted are being taken away, and we're constantly struggling to keep afloat. And for what? We work to live and suffer in poverty. We do what we're told and try to change it by voting differently, but nothing ever seems to change. For many, dreams of a better future are gone. Our lives aren't fulfilling and we can't find meaning. Then on top of that, a pandemic hits, and fear of this unknown virus is added on top of everything we're already going through. And now the government is telling us to mask up and take a vaccine, removing the last bit of sense of control many feel they have over their lives. For lots of people, this was a breaking point. And in their outrage, they found others who felt the same, and that gave them something that had been missing from their lives. A sense of community, a chance to fight back, a way to feel they have control over a situation. They win if they don't take the vaccine or mask up, so they are willing to believe anything that fits the narrative in their heads, and they get angry at those who challenge it. What they're missing is that the spread of misinformation is profit-driven. And if they manage to make it so no one ever has to wear a mask again or take the vaccine, their lives won't be any better. History has shown there will always be people who push back on science and authority, even when that authority is acting in our best interests. but it's getting worse. If we don't examine the systems that led us here, we'll end up in a society not worth living in. We shouldn't go back to the way things were. We need to examine what is so we can find the best way to change it. If we work together, we can use this moment to demand better from our government, take apart the ruling class, and work towards a world that allows us to dream. I can't change the world, but we can. So how's that for a high school level philosophy class? I think I did all right for my first debunking video. A little bit rambly at times, but that's still normal for me. I have to work on that. I'm aware of it. If you hit the like button, I'll know you want more of this. I'm getting close to 1,000 subscribers, which means I'm getting close to attempting live streams. My 1-year anniversary of this show is coming up, and I'd love to hit that 1,000 mark by then. Follow me on Twitter for updates or insightful comments. Okay, maybe not all that insightful. In the comment section below, let me know what changes you want to see once this pandemic is over. If you can, please become a patron. Thank you so much to the people who already support my show on it. I appreciate everything you do. Salut, à la prochaine. Thank you for watching and stay tuned. I'm Sandy, wishing your tomorrow is better than your today.